cursed by the old gods in Bethany. We are 5 immortals doomed to walk the earth until we complete our 1,001 tasks. After centuries of having our memories stick around, we are to complete our destiny and die. We are, for now, the Immortals. This is episode 53.
Woo!
Exactly.
Not 52 or 54.
It is definitely, undeniably, 53.
Is 53 prime? I think it is.
Yeah.
It feels prime.
It does.
We've been doing this now for over a year. Over 50 films in the bank, 50 albums. Not 50 food. We've upper 40s for the food.
Yep.
We're going strong, guys. We're doing well. Sure, we are being attacked by a horrible being from another dimension who is using our reviews to power unknown evil. But besides that, we're doing great.
Well, fine.
Yeah.
I'm Austin.
I'm Adam.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Lee.
I'm Pedro.
And every week we review one of the 1,001 movies, albums, food, songs, children's books, and TV shows that you must consume before you die. Every week, an interdimensional lackey of Bethany possesses Adam and gives us a random number. This all makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Good. This week we were assigned number 650. If we go to all those books, the corresponding things are the following. The movie is the Muppet Movie.
The album is the Sensual World by Kate Bush.
The food, is Epazote.
The song is Sun City by Artists United Against Apartheid. The children's book is I Am Susannah, a novel by Libby Gleason.
And the television show is Arrested Development. Guys, the world has been shitty, not only because of Bethany, but because of seemingly everything. It was nice to sit down and watch a little thing called the Muppet Movie.
For anyone who has ever dreamed of fame and fortune at the end of the rainbow, this is one of the greatest success stories of all time, proving once and for all that anyone can make it, no matter how young, no matter how green.
The lovers, the dreamers, and me. La-da-da.
All it took was a dream.
Hollywood. You sing, you tell jokes, you can make millions of people happy. Millions of people happy.
The road was long,
Waka, 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 waka.
but never lonely. It was dangerous, but never dull. Filled with unshakable friendship.
Come with us to Hollywood. When you get rich and famous, maybe we'll show up and exploit your wealth.
Unforgettable faces.
I just gotta catch up with those guys.
And unexpected romance.
Never before.
She was a temperamental beauty,
Join so freely.
an unmarried woman, and a gorgeous pig.
Piggy! Miss Piggy! Are you Miss Piggy?
Yes.
Telephone.
Should it be snowing?
No, I don't think so. Moving right along. Today is
The Muppet Movie, in case you've never heard of the Muppets, is about...
In which case, turn off this and go Google the Muppets and watch everything.
Yeah, it'd be crazy if this was like your first time watching this film or something.
I actually know 2 people. I watched it with 2 people who had never seen this movie before.
I'm
I
staring
watched
at
it with
Pedro.
myself.
Yeah.
I've never seen it
you've never
before.
seen it before?
No.
Oh, that's so exciting.
So
I guess.
the Muppets, this is their first cinematic venture. They were Jim Henson creations. They were always a bit separate from Sesame Street. They had their own vibe. The Muppets, the prime ones are Kermit the Frog, Fozzie Bear, Gonzo the Great, Miss Piggy, and a whole band of other fantastic puppet creatures. And
Sweetums, really important.
Sweetums is great.
the big
And
one.
this is the story where a talent scout happens to be in the swamp, meets Kermit the Frog singing the perfect song, The Rainbow Connection, recommends that he goes to Hollywood to fulfill his dreams to make millions of people happy, and he does it. He meets up with all these new friends, and they do a road trip towards Hollywood. It is filled with the silliest gags, the strangest subplots, which include a man trying to get Kermit to be the spokesperson for his Frog Legs restaurant, which ultimately will end up with Mel Brooks as a mad German scientist trying to murder him. There are great songs. They meet even more Muppets. There is an endless number of cameos. When I say endless, I mean like probably 20 or 30. This is the Muppets.
It's really great.
So, what did we all think of the Muppet Movie?
I liked it.
I also
Yay!
liked it.
I probably didn't like it as much as the rest of you.
God damn it,
but I
no.
did.
God damn it, Adam.
We
I'm
all do
actually
this.
in your boat, though. Yeah. Because there's
What is
a definite
wrong with
element
you
that
people?
is missed, which is not seeing this in childhood.
You guys are
That's-
bad
I
people.
don't, to me, the Muppets, the humor is so universal to me.
It is.
Yeah.
That's definitely true. The humor was good. The songs were amazing, written by Paul Williams, who is awesome. His cameo was there.
Yep.
I've seen the Phantom of Paradise maybe 4 times in as many months. He is kind of my hero. Shout out to Darren. No, but everything was great. But there was like a spark of magic that I recognized should have been there that it didn't fully develop in me. And I think a lot of it has to do with not seeing it as a child.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, I will defend this movie beyond just being the Muppets. It's a really fun madcap road trip movie that is. It's hard to pick out a scene that's like demonstrably weaker than the others. But what I really love about it, and this is true of all of the Muppet Ventures, but because this one is maybe not the lowest on plot, but it's basically, I mean, the plot is they're making a movie, or, you know, they're going to be in a movie. It has the most, like, the purest explanation of why the Muppets are great, which is that really they are about making people happy. You know, they've done, you know, sometimes the Muppets have done interesting things politically, sometimes they've done fun pop routines, you know, they've done lots of things, but fundamentally, they are about humor that can be shared by everyone, and they're about, you know, a sort of timeless wonder that is really awesome. And the Rainbow Connection matters a lot to me. It's a really important song, and I love it. Also, one way to watch a Muppet movie, any Muppet movie that helps you realize just how amazing it is remembering that they are all puppets. All that stuff is done with people's hands up glorified socks. That is insane. The amount of characterization these characters have, just like the number of different things they do, how many of them there are, like, and the big crowd scenes, like, that's all individual people on elaborately constructed sets so that to give the illusion that these are full-bodied animals. Except, you know, even though there's only, like, 2 scenes in the movie where they do... I think this is the first movie where they use... Or they don't use it in the show. I think this is the one where they use the remote control Kermit, which is...
To ride the bike?
For the bike and the like,
Dancing
gunslinger scene. And I think there's, like, a couple, but that was, like, a big deal at the time because Kermit, before that, didn't have legs. Because he's a puppet, which is crazy. Sorry, it's important for people to remember that.
I honestly did forget a couple times. I've seen a billion Muppet things. I love the Muppets a lot. But I think it was like when Kermit is sitting by himself on a stool, I kind of remember, oh yeah, this is a puppet. This is a felt puppet. Because it's such a wide shot too. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Because also, to me, one of the joys of watching a Muppet movie is to recognize what actors are blessed with the ability to act perfectly alongside Muppets.
It's so true.
And Steve Martin is one of them.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
I've always remembered him as the highlight of this movie, even though he's not actually in it for that long. He's not like...
It's maybe the longest cameo, though.
But it's like, I mean, he's not... I had forgotten much of the, like, Frog's Legs plot line, but I did not forget Steve Martin, because Steve Martin's great.
He is, and I mean, some other actors are really great at that. I love this movie a lot, but it's still not my favorite Muppet movie. Right now it's ranked 3rd for me. But Charles Grodin in The Great Muppet Caper, I think he's amazing with Muppets. And also, very surprisingly, because he's been annoying in real life, Ricky Gervais in the newest one. He's fantastic alongside Muppets.
I think that the winner for acting alongside Muppets is from my favorite Muppet movie, which is Michael Caine as Scrooge in The Muppet Christmas Carol, which is not only the best Muppet movie of all time, but the best movie of all time. So, yeah.
I've seen Muppet Treasure Island like maybe a dozen times, and Tim Curry kind of rocks it.
Tim Curry rocks it too.
Yeah.
And I will actually say that the core guy, whose name I don't remember, does not live up necessarily to those levels of performances. I don't know the name of the actor, but the frog's-like guy, the main antagonist in the story.
The Colonel?
Yeah, is that what his name is? He's
no,
funny.
he looks like the Colonel.
Right.
Yeah.
Doc Hopper.
Doc Hopper. Yeah, he's very funny, but he's not like those kinds of.
I thought
Great.
Max was pretty good. His sidekick who keeps like
Yes,
I loved his sidekick.
I loved him
walking the
so
line whether he has
much.
morals or not.
Yes.
But I think to me, like, and I want to speak just negatively for a half second because this is a movie that everyone should see all the time. I think why this one is not my favorite Muppet movie is that it almost feels like the entire movie is a subplot. Like there isn't a very the strongest A plot, I guess, them going to Hollywood, but that's more of just the vehicle to have subplots because like they're just traveling.
Well, and I feel like this is, although I sometimes enjoy some of their more plot-heavy ventures more, this is the purest Muppet experience on screen. Because the Muppet Show is very much sort of, it's a madcap variety show. And this is really sort of the movie version of that. I mean, at the time it came out, when you didn't have all of the plot-heavy, many of which are, I mean, at least two of the really good ones are post-Jim Henson. Muppet Treasure Island and Muppet Christmas Carol are both after Jim Henson died.
Well, to me, the Muppets, the newest one called Muppets, is, I think, better than this, and exemplifies a lot of things that you're saying, because like, that movie has a very strong thesis of the Muppets are important, especially today. And it's beautiful. That movie gets me.
I feel like this is, I mean...
It's more obvious. Like, this one is, like, when you have them all sitting in the desert by the campfire, it's just a beautiful moment between... I was about to say people, but they're not people.
They're puppets!
But it's these characters from the very beginning, and you can see how they've evolved throughout the years. I mean, Miss Piggy looks actually rather different, just puppet design-wise, over the decades. But Kermit isn't. Kermit looks the exact same, and the characters were always so well realized from the very beginning. And they are just great comedy creations because it's very flexible for them to have so many different kind of emotions. They're not just kind of stuck in one thing. That's where the humor comes from.
No.
Kermit is someone who's able to lead a group, but also walk away in frustration in the same way. Fozzie is someone who can be the butt of every joke, but also feel sad about that. There's so many different elements that are with these characters that are... It's really impressive just from a comedy ensemble.
Also Animal's in it. And Animal is my spirit Muppet. And I love Animal. And Animal gets some real great moments to be Animal. And he's the best. He's the best Muppet. Also Sweetums is the best Muppet. They're all the best Muppets. I love them.
Lee, how does this one kind of rank with your Muppet appreciation?
I love this movie. My favorite Muppet movie is probably The Great Muppet Caper, just because it's amazing and so good. This one is a close second, though. Like it had, for me, because I did grow up watching the Muppets. Like, it was a staple of my most recent childhood. So I have that nostalgia spark that Pedro was hinting at. So, like, I watch it and I remember, oh yeah, I remember the first time I saw this, and I remember the time I finally got that joke and things like that. So it's really important to me. Like, I love the Muppets, and I feel like I'm getting choked up talking about it because, like, they're just so important to me. They're so good, you guys.
All right, Adam. Adam has had his arms crossed the entire review so far. Adam, the curmudgeon.
Okay, so I don't dislike the Muppets. I don't have a lot of exposure to the Muppets because I wasn't really into them that much. So it kind of feels like I should have been more familiar with the characters before watching this movie, because I feel like this would be like watching the season 2 opener of a TV show.
That's fair.
If anyone heard that, I just dropped my phone.
Because you disgraced the Muppets.
That is why. And now you're going to be cursed.
Further.
No, I'm not disgracing the Muppets. I think that the Muppets are solid. But I think that the writers and mostly the writers of this movie kind of leaned on the fact that you already know the Muppets and you already love these characters.
That's fair.
And so they don't get... Like, you meet Kermit, and then he meets all of these other people, and you barely get to know anyone. And then it comes back around to Kermit at the end. So yeah, I think it is missing some of that emotional arc that I really want. But I do like that the mission is like completely wholesome and even frankly the villain's mission, because I didn't know what he was up to at first until he explained what he wanted Kermit for. I thought he just wanted to eat these delicious legs, but it's like, no, he wants to make this frog famous. And Kermit kind of wants to be famous too, but for a different reason. So that is very interesting to me.
Well, it does become... The frog leg subplot is insane even for a Muppet subplot. Because it was like just chasing. Now they're chasing across the country, hiring assassins.
Right.
And then again, the Mel Brooks in his least subtle his entire life, which says a lot, of just crazy-ass German mad scientist who has a frog-sized electric chair, essentially.
And a trident. And like a trident that shoots like a trident gun thing.
A harpoon gun?
Yeah. No, but it's like a handheld harpoon gun in a way that is not real.
And that is not my favorite subplot in the world. It's a bit strange.
It doesn't resolve.
No, well, yeah. I mean, he kind of walks away.
They make him really threatening, and then they have that one little tiny showdown.
Yeah, no, that's a big showdown where that's the whole thing. That's the movie. There's soul in that movie.
He has the Clint Eastwood shot of the camera under his legs. That's awesome.
Also, Animal gets really, really big and is really great. And he's the size of a house.
Well, that kind of has the resolution of just kind of the wonderful madness of the Muppets, which is so hard to replicate, and that's what I think Jim Henson did so well, especially with the Muppet Show. The fact that the movie is resolved by always get the doctor's name wrong.
Bunsen.
Bunsen.
Yeah, Bunsen and
Bunsen
Beaker.
burner.
Yeah, like the Bunsen burner.
Yeah, he just has a growing thing. Then Animal eats it, and now Animal's Godzilla. Sure, because there's some like the fact that Fozzie Bear is this failed stand-up comedian with the biggest smile on his face. I love the absurdity also that when he takes off his hat, his head is like in a weird deformed sense. That's like he's always been like hit on the head in a cartoon.
Yeah.
And it works brilliantly as a puppeteer because you can actually just naturally put the hat on and off. But when he takes the hat off, he looks nothing like a bear. But when the hat's on, he looks more like a bear.
It's great.
Fozzie's my favorite.
Fozzie's the best. They're all the best, though.
I mean, and it's interesting you kind of said that, Adam, because this was intended to be a real like introduction to the Muppets to kind of prove they can do larger projects.
Yeah.
And I never saw this one first, so I already had the connection to the Muppets through other things.
I actually don't know. I think this may have been the first thing I saw of the Muppets. But honestly, my introduction to the Muppets was so young that it would be hard to separate it out.
Because I was never a Sesame Street guy. I didn't really watch that as a kid. The
That
Muppets
explains everything about you.
Okay, that's fair. The show's boring if you already know how to read. Sorry.
A discussion for another day.
Good sections of the show is boring. But yeah, the Muppets in this movie, the Muppets are so experimental with the puppeteering tricks, and that's very evident here. They're using the big format in a cool way, and I always enjoyed the cameos in Muppet films because they're often, sometimes barely even jokes. It's just actors who want to be in a Muppet movie.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that was like my favorite part because I watched this last night with my roommate and one of his friends, and neither of them had seen it before. So we're sitting and watching it, and my roommate goes, "That guy looks familiar. Who is that?" I was like, "Oh, that's Dom DeLuise." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then like a few minutes pass. Well, who's that? Why is he so familiar? Oh, it's Richard Pryor. Like, you wouldn't expect Richard Pryor to be in a kids movie, and yet he is.
It's so true. I think at that point, I think after like Dom DeLuise and Madeline Kahn, I'm like, man, there's every Mel Brooks character in here.
Yeah, it's really
then
true.
Richard Pryor, I'm like, there's every Mel Brooks character in here.
Cloris Leachman rounds it up at the end.
Then Cloris Leachman,
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, this is every. Then Mel Brooks here, I'm like, okay, it's officially every Mel Brooks person, except for Gene Wilder, I guess.
That's true.
Gene Wilder, did he ever do a
I was
Muppet
just
thing?
wondering.
Did he
I know.
really?
I know we have a Muppet expert who is listening. Who's my good friend Pranks. Pranks, tell me, did he ever do this?
Did he ever do the? I know someone in a movie. Maybe he did the show.
Maybe. Yeah. Almost everybody did the show. I mean, really, like, if you combine, and certainly if you combine Sesame Street with the Muppet Show, every celebrity that has ever existed has acted with Muppets at some point.
Well, and it's such a bummer because Jason Segel, brought back the Muppets with the movie called The Muppets, which I wish had a different title because it's harder just to talk about that.
Yeah.
But he kept saying, like, so you're going to do a sequel? And they go, well, yeah, but I want to bring back the Muppet Show. And I still think that's the best idea because every, you have to book people for SNL in the same way, but everyone wants to be on a Muppet Show. Unfortunately, ABC made a terrible show called The Muppets.
I thought it was fun. I wish it was a little bit different, but I wasn't disappointed with it.
I lasted about, 4 episodes, I think. And then Kermit was just so mean.
See, the
He
nice
was
thing about
really mean.
the nice thing about the Muppets, though, is that what you don't realize is it never really fails. Like, even though that's a dud, trust me, there are other duds in the Muppet canon, like Muppets from Space, which is terrible.
My mom loves Muppets from Space.
It's not a good movie, but they always come back, and it's always good.
Pedro, what do you think as also kind of a newbie to the Muppets?
I mean, I was pleasantly surprised by all the content of it, but kind of like what Adam said, it was really hard for me to get into it because I didn't know who any of these. I mean, okay, I know the big ones, obviously, Miss Piggy, Kermit, so on and so forth, but it really, I'm like, wait, who's that guy again? Who's that guy again? Who's that guy again? I don't know any of their quirks. Okay, it looks like something was missing, and I think it was exposure, or I think it is just exposure. Mm-hmm. Like, it was really well made, but the magic didn't seep in.
That's
and
so
I want it to.
That's so
Does that mean
sad.
I just have to go through and watch as much Muppet stuff as I can and go back and rewatch?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fair. I'll give that a shot.
I'm going to guess your favorite Muppet.
Which one?
Gonzo.
Which one's Gonzo?
How dare you?
Oh, the one that
How
loves the
dare
chicken?
you?
What?
Yeah, the one that loves the chicken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
The
were real
chicken
cute.
fucker, as my roommate so delicately called him.
And he's very self-destructive. He loves to fall from great heights and blow himself up.
It's the best.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
I like the guy that got real big after eating pills.
Animal.
That's him.
Animal.
Animal.
The big giant guy. I felt real bad for him, actually. I was like,
Sweetums.
is this a Muppets thing where you just leave a guy behind?
No, that's just
felt
a
bad.
running joke in this movie. But every time it happens, I want to give Sweetums the world's biggest hug.
Right?
Okay, I'm going to guess Adam's favorite. Rolf?
The dog?
The piano player?
No.
What?
What's your favorite?
Gonzo.
Good.
I see you as the Rolf.
Oh yeah, he's definitely the Rolf of our group.
You're the wise man who's at the bar playing the piano, knows everybody's story.
Makes sparing jokes, but when he makes them, they're really good. Yeah.
I'll take that. That's fine.
Who's your favorite Muppet, Austin?
I love Fozzie Bear.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the most delightful failure in cinema. And now Lee. Lee, this is a bolder guess, but I'm gonna go with the two critics.
I do love Stalter and Waldorf. They make me so happy.
They're really great. They have a pretty limited role in this movie in comparison to some of the other ones, which is sort of too bad. But they rock out the Muppet Christmas Carol. They are amazing.
And we talked a couple weeks ago when we reviewed Sideways Stories from Wayside School and how that was my first real exposure to absurdity. The Muppets, I think, was always my first big exposure to meta humor.
Yes.
Oh my god, so good.
I mean, the whole movie keeps being interrupted by the characters watching the movie they made, which is also confusing because then they make the movie at the end of the movie, which is a less high production movie of the movie you're watching. And also the best cast cameo. The big studio executive is Orson Welles.
That was him, okay.
Good.
Yeah.
We were like, is that him? I think that's him. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Later, giant Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Muppets. I mean, this was, I think, our closest review to just being the Chris Farley show. We just name things we love, and
Yeah.
that's great.
It is great.
It's what we needed right now. The Muppets is always there when times are tough, and we're going to make Pedro watch more Muppets, and Adam.
The Muppets are always there. What do you mean, the conglomeration of them?
Sure.
Well, because if you say it is, then you could be talking about the movie.
Sure. Or I wasn't listening to myself and didn't recognize I made a verb mistake.
Also
That
possible.
too.
Hinges!
Yeah!
I'm going to give this a 4.3.
4.9. Only doesn't get a 5 because it's not Muppet Christmas Carol.
Damn.
3.1.
Jesus!
I knew it.
My heart hurts.
4.
4.5.
All right, that is The Muppets. It's not really available to stream anywhere, but the Blu-ray is worth
can
getting.
rent it on
Get the
Amazon.
Blu-ray.
Because if you pause it, it does a very entertaining music video for all of its songs. It's very entertaining.
I actually watched it on CED, which is a now extinct media format, which is basically a giant video record. And I highly recommend finding someone who has one of these and making them show you how it's used, because they're really neat, although archaic.
All right. I mean, that's a choice you can make.
Like, when it skips like you would expect a record to, but it's a video that's skipping. So, like, it's really trippy, but it's a lot of fun.
All right. But can we say the same thing for the album this week? What do we listen to?
We listened to The Sensual World by Kate Bush. It's her 6th studio album, came out in 1989, and it's been noted to be important because it's much more mature than her earlier stuff. I will have to admit, I am not at all familiar with Kate Bush, and like all week I've been thinking, oh, I need to listen to the Kate Nash album. No, not Kate Nash, Kate Bush, and like, so if I make that mistake, I'm sorry. So yeah, it's good. It's different. It's not exactly what I expected.
No, and it's... I don't really know how to describe the vibe. Is ethereal the right word? It's really... It's curious, and I think it's quiet and impactful, and... I don't know, it was really interesting, and I'm not sure that tone worked for all the songs for me, but especially for the first couple songs, and then the last song. Yeah, it was cool. Who else listened to it?
Adam.
Nope.
All right, Adam, what did you think? How would you describe Kate Bush's tone?
I would say ethereal, maybe a mellow Fleetwood Mac.
I don't know Fleetwood Mac enough to comment.
I don't know, like, she has a lot more influences, like, folky influences than Fleetwood Mac necessarily does. Like, Fleetwood Mac definitely has that 70s kinda folk rock vibe going on for him, whereas this is, like, folk music that happens to be popular as well. There's bagpipes in it, so... Like, and that was something else that this was really noted for. Like, she does kind of reach back to her Irish roots, so there's bagpipes and there's fiddle and there's whistle and things like that, which I'm guessing aren't as prevalent on her earlier albums. So, that's something else.
The first song is basically an adaptation of James Joyce.
Yeah.
What I read. Joyce is Irish, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just kind of realized after saying that, like, I was really hoping that was me.
Yes.
I just got very worried for a second. I've read Joyce. I don't even know who else defending right there.
One of his short story collections is called The Dubliners.
I've not read that one. But no, and that was such an interesting song. That's where the title of the album comes from. Because I was reading about how she was actually just going to adapt this section from Ulysses, and then couldn't really get the rights to it, so basically kind of did an homage to it. I've never read Ulysses. It's one of those, like, I will one day read this book, much like Moby Dick, and, I don't know, Les Mis, the daunting classics. And it was really cool, and it was really, like, it fits so well with Kate Bush's style that I don't say the album peaked for me early on, but that was a really good song, I thought.
Yeah, I really liked the first 3 songs on the album. Like, those kind of stood out to me. And then the rest of the album kind of dropped off almost. Like, it just didn't hit as... It's not hit as hard, but it wasn't as impactful. That's kind of the same thing. But, like, to me, than the rest... Those first 3. Those first 3, I feel like, are really strong.
Yeah, I had the same feeling. I kind of got in, like, relaxed with it, I guess, after the third one, maybe, and it felt more meditative, and, well, maybe hypnotic, I guess, that I just couldn't really concentrate on it, but I was still feeling the music.
And I thought the one that I guess was the most mainstream, and I guess it was because it was written for a different thing, it was written for a movie, but the last song, This Woman's Work, I thought was really good. And had a really cool rhythm to it. And also, I'm biased because that was the song that ended season 1 of You're the Worst, where Keith O'Donoghue, who plays Lindsay, just absolutely kills it. And I watched that clip like 5 times today. And because she's a beautiful singer, and that scene is amazing, and You're the Worst. A TV show that is not on the list. But,
probably because it all came out after the book was published.
Sadly, no. Just didn't see
they're
it.
just wrong, then.
Then I will, eventually, on episode 100, maybe we'll watch You're the Worst. Get excited for that one. That is 47 episodes away.
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited.
Oh, boy. Time is long. Anywho.
It's not.
No,
We're having so much fun.
So much fun. But, what else do we have to say about this album?
I don't know. Like, I thought it was really good. It was a little forgettable in spots, kind of, because it does get meditative. Like, I listened to this song probably 6 or 7 times at work today, and I couldn't tell you anything about it. Like, I had to come home and sit down and just listen to it, which I never do with the albums, because I just couldn't remember any of it, which I feel a little bad about, because it, like, once I sat down and paid attention to it, it felt like something that's like, oh yeah, I definitely feel like there's a time in my life where this would have been the perfect soundtrack, but, like, now it's just kind of, it's good. It's not bad.
It doesn't have any, like, catchy rhythms that you can really latch onto. And
Yeah, there's no hook.
Right.
All right, it's time for Henges. Lee, what do you say?
3.5. It's good. I'm definitely going to check out more of Kate Bush. Like, I thought she was really talented. It's just that this album was a little lackluster.
I'll do 3.5 as well.
I'm going to do 3.8, because it was good. I liked that it was good.
Good.
Your nuanced explanation is always my favorite. All right, that is The Sensual World by Kate Bush. Now, Sarah, it's the food segment. What are we eating this week?
We are eating Epazote, which is a Mexican herb that we have definitely all had before, because we've all had good Mexican food, but have probably not tasted separately. Epazote is one of those herbs that is it's somehow central to a lot of Mexican cuisine, and yet Americans don't usually know about it. A lot of times in things like Chipotle, you know, like it's like we use cilantro for the same sort of flavor, because it's also leafy. It's a leafy herb but it really doesn't taste anything like cilantro. So I tend to think that one should not eat herbs by just chewing on them, because that's kind of not a thing. Although epazote is also used to make tea, so it's a little bit more commonly done. But I have made just a bunch of rice that has epazote in it, so you can eat it, and the boys should eat it now.
Yes, I shall start.
The other thing that is worth noting about epazote is that it is often served with beans, because it decreases the gas from beans.
Interesting.
It's like an unfarting agent, is I assume the medical technical term.
Very scientific.
Very.
All right, passing on to Pedro.
Sweet.
Adam, initial thoughts?
I would probably not be able to discern that from lettuce in the wild. Like if I were in the wild and I saw that.
It's got a very...
Wait, visually or
Smells
taste-wise?
like
Both, really.
It's very plant-y.
Yeah.
Like
It smells like plants.
it's like kind of grassy. Not in a bad way. It's been compared. It's pretty bitter, I think.
Yeah.
If you actually eat it by itself, like it's too bitter. But when I tasted it, I was like, so it's one of the main ingredients in like green salsa, for example, like tomatillo salsa, and it's like, oh, that's what that like deeper like flavor is in tomatillo salsa. But yeah, it's kind of a base herb, like rather than a strong flavor. I feel like
I can see why cilantro would be used as a replacement, because they both share that same deep profile that you get on the exhale, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's sort of just something there. And I guess if you don't have the original stuff, I could see.
Well, and cilantro, to be clear, is also used in Mexican cooking in its own right. It's just that this herb tends to be forgotten in American Mexican cuisine.
This does definitely have more of a planty, earthy
It does.
taste.
I think
Maybe not as refined.
I think I'll be able to do a taste test. I could do the Pepsi challenge of this and lettuce,
Oh, yeah.
I believe. But it's not a strong flavor. It's a very faint flavor, but it's a good faint flavor. But it's not that memorable, and I'm not entirely convinced that like it is a necessary ingredient. Sometimes I think it is the really 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 background instrument of a song. And you go, is it there?
It's part of a flavor profile, and I think it's hard to eat something like this and not eat it within its flavor profile. And I think, the thing is, we all have many times, but it's sort of interesting to pull it out individually.
Can I choose some herb?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
There's some on the edge here. There's some over on the table. You buy it where you buy it though is anywhere that Hispanic shop. At Mexican supermarkets, it's right next to the cilantro and the basil. Like it's normal food. But it really is. It's like not trivial to find in Jewel Wasco, which is sort of interesting. Much like tomatillos, which are a thing that if you're from Mexico, you just eat like a lot. But this is different. It's very hard to rate because it's not bad and it's not good. It just kind of is.
Well, we don't really do this as much for this segment, but like, should it be on the list? I mean,
Yeah,
Oh yeah! Wow.
it's bitter. It's pretty like
I like it better. Like I like eating the leaf.
it's definitely you can definitely like. I mean, I think there's a lot like I think in the rice it's more like how you would normally eat it. But yeah, no, I mean it's definitely got some flavor to it.
There's almost like a minty bite to it before it yields to the bitter. It's got like this weird, almost. I mean, kind of like a wintergreen when you chew that.
Yeah.
Like the.
It's sort of like a citrusy mint thing, and it goes really well with lime juice. Like that's like that
I can imagine
Kind of like
that.
cilantro.
very much so.
I'm all up about this herb. I like it.
But is this one of the 1001 best food?
I mean, I feel like it's culturally. It seems like it's significant enough, and the fact that we don't know enough about it when we probably should.
Right.
I'm saying that
I feel like there is definitely merit for it, to be honest.
The list on the food side is interesting, and I think ultimately they did it right. You could have done a food list that was all different dishes, different, full preparations of food. And they didn't do that, and I think that's smart, because it means that you actually have to drill down and say, like, no, like, this ingredient is interesting, and, play around with this. And I want to play around more with epazote. I don't know, I will definitely remember it in the future as I cook more Mexican food.
Well, I don't believe popcorn's on the list. Is this better than popcorn?
I think it is on the list.
I can't say that.
I would eat popcorn with this on it.
That might be interesting, yeah.
I would be into that.
And then some cayenne pepper.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I wish I hadn't eaten that herb by itself.
Really?
It's gross, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why I put it in a thing.
I know. Yeah.
It's very bitter. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely...
Yeah, so I'm not gonna... I don't think you can rate the herb just by itself, because it's not...
It definitely
Popcorn isn't on the list.
Wait, really? That's ridiculous.
I know, it's bullshit.
Is
how
foreign generic on the list?
So the question is, do you love popcorn more than you love the various TV shows and movies that you think should be on the list?
Oh, wait, for my bonus review?
Yeah.
No, I already promoted it. We're doing Rectify in episode 60.
Yeah, but I mean, like, in the future. Like, you really like popcorn.
I do like popcorn quite
it's
a bit.
going to be my next thing. Don't worry.
All right, well, there you go.
I eat popcorn at least 3 times a week. That is not an exaggeration.
Lee
I
and
love
we get each other.
popcorn.
All right, I think it's time to rate this.
Yeah, sure.
Sarah, what do you say?
3.8. It's a good thing.
3?
2.8?
4.
All right, that is Epazote.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find that, apparently, everywhere.
And this is Epazote 53.
Woo!
Well, can we title the episode that?
Yes!
Yes!
No,
Wait, please.
all the titles are the same.
Please!
It's episode, number sign, the number, dash, dash, all the shit.
Yeah, so
If you
we
think
could-
if
we
you
could-
think this should have been called Epazote 33, write us at theartimmortal.com to express your preferences.
But then if you put all of our episodes in
Wait,
alphabetical order...
You said half of our email address.
Wait, what's that email address?
It's the Immortals at theartimmortal.com.
Oh, that works. But also, like, the website's called theartimmortal.com.
That's true.
I got
That's
you.
what I was going for.
I heard the at sign.
But I didn't say the at sign.
Anyway, Pedro, what did we listen to this week?
We listened to Sun City by Artists United Against Apartheid. This is a song.
Oh my god, Pedro.
Pedro,
Bye.
introductions.
Lots and lots of people, and I do mean lots and lots of people. It came out in '85, written by Steven Van Zandt.
Yeah.
Zandt.
Who's very famous.
Yeah, okay, I'm bad with names.
Okay?
I keep getting. It's like I keep getting my memory wiped. I don't know.
That's it. That's what's been happening.
Oh,
That is it, yeah.
That's canon.
Sweet. So basically, Sun City was a resort that was built in South Africa, or region thereof, which was then declared to be an independent state that was not recognized by the world, because it was one of those things that facilitated or allowed deportation, forced migration of
Yeah.
blacks during the apartheid.
I mean, they're basically the equivalent of U.S. Indian reservations.
what
That
I
were
gather,
then
yeah.
It's as if the U.S. decided to declare our Indian reservations. Well, first of all, it's as if we were still forced migrating Native Americans to Indian reservations, and then to trying to get the UN to recognize them as not America, so that we could deny the people within them the rights afforded to Americans.
Sounds about right.
Some fucked up shit.
Yeah, but this was a rural, classy place. Wonderful resort. Not wonderful. Well, classy. Anyway,
What are you defending?
I'm not defending anything, except for maybe the artist that didn't play here. Because in trying to get people to come to this place, because it was real fancy, it still is, actually, it exists still, they offered substantial financial bribes, it's a bribe, to get people to play there. And some people thought it was fucked up. This guy decided to write a song, and to see who he could get to play said song, which was basically saying which artists will go on record and be part of this giant song saying, we're not going to play here. Doesn't matter. We're never going to play here. And he got a lot of people.
Yeah, this is like the Muppet Movie of songs.
It's pretty nuts. I can read said list.
You don't have to in its entirety.
Oh well, I might. So the
Really
guy
don't
that
have
actually
to.
wrote the song, Van Zant, he was like, I don't really want to ask Springsteen because I'm his friend and I don't want to exploit our friendship, whatever. The other guy that was working with him to try to recruit people was like, all right, I'll ask him. Springsteen's like, yeah, sure. I don't really know if I should ask Miles Davis because he's like, I'll ask him. Miles Davis was like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then the list just gets bigger and...
Is that the conversation they had about every single person?
I was worried.
I was hoping he was just going to do that every time for like the next 30 minutes.
Oh,
From
God.
Wikipedia, I've got a site, always. It does say that Miles Davis accepted with minimal persuasion. After the other guy's like, yeah, I don't care what you say.
So there was
Right.
still some persuasion.
He read a letter. He said yes.
But you got people like U2, you got
Oh,
Ringo
yeah.
Starr, you got some cool people.
Let's see who we
Is
got.
it
That
U2 or is it
Cool,
It's
cool
U2.
DJ here. No,
Okay.
it's U2. Grandmaster
U2.
Val Mel, The Fat Boys, Ruben Blades, Bob Dylan, Herbie Hancock, Ringo Starr, and Son. Lou Reed, Run DMC, Peter Gabriel, David Ruffin. Keeps going.
Run DMC, we
Yeah.
reviewed him.
Exactly.
And Peter
Then,
Gabriel.
Yep.
Eddie Hendricks, Darlene Love, Bobby Womack,
And the list goes
Africa
on.
Bambaataa. Well, it
It's a
goes-
really long list.
Jackson Brown, U2, George Clinton, Keith Richards, Ronnie Wolf, Peter Wolf, Ronnie
And
Wood, Peter
other
Wolf,
people.
and other people,
Pat
including
Benatar, Bonnie Raitt.
yeah, Ron Carter,
I love Pat Benatar.
No, you're making
Ray
a
Barretto.
restart.
Pete
Again, it's on the
Townshend.
Wikipedia page. You
It
can
is.
find it too.
Read them all. After getting all these people, what's the number? 303. Yeah, they had 303 tracks that were mixed down. It says I assume that just means distilled down, which it does, into this thing, which is
Most of the time, like, to explain a little bit better than Pedro did, most of the time when people record songs, they'll record, like, the guitar track, the drum track, the bass track, the vocal track, and then they'll mix them together to make a song. So 303 tracks is a little ridiculous, especially in this time before, computers.
Right, so you're doing a lot of this by, like, basically by hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that actually is kind of intense.
It's great. It sounds so good, and like, it's a catchy tune. It's simple. Lyrics are simple. They get the point across, and even though it's kind of a depressing subject matter, they make it fun, and I don't feel bad that I'm having fun listening to it.
Well, no, because it's a peaceful standing up against a horrible thing,
Yeah.
and it's done in a passionate way. I just wish I liked the song more.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, see, I really liked it.
I love every bit of mentality behind it. I found the song to be incredibly bland, but that's also perhaps what happens when you have a billion contributors.
I guess for me, I thought it was a much better... I liked it because as far as these big protest songs or, big groups of people coming together to do... I mean, 30 Rock does a great parody of these. But, these are the We Are the World moments, right?
Yeah.
This one was specific to a thing that the artists were actually doing, refusing to play Sun City.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being like, apartheid is bad, y'all. Like, it's like, no, like, this is actually what we're doing, which gets much more at the implicit challenge of, so what are you doing?
It was almost made for artists themselves. It was a song by artists for artists. It's
Right,
like, we're not doing this.
And it made very clear what the call was for other artists and for music listeners implicitly not to listen to artists who had played Sun City, which ended up being...
there are quite a few.
Yeah, there are quite a few that did play Sun City, I know, but boycotting them was real. Like, people did that.
Yep.
And I just thought that the song is fun. It plays around a lot with its theme in a lot of different genres because there's so many different people singing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought the message was a particularly good vehicle for the message it was sending.
I guess I just think the message is stronger than the song.
I
It's like,
agree.
it's like everything you're saying, like this is so awesome. I love this. I love basically the musical contract they're doing. Yeah, Adam, what do you think? That did not. There's no way that got caught on the microphone.
Oh, I did a horse thing, like a horse noise. No.
Wait, did you just do that, Austin?
Yeah.
That's a weird thing I didn't know you could do. That's a weird noise.
You're all welcome.
Yeah, it's long. I think I said before, if you listen to like 3 minutes of it, you can get the gist of it. But it is kind of fun to try to pick out the people that you recognize and stuff like that. But that doesn't really make a good song.
I think the music video is a huge part of it. Like they put a lot of effort into that as part of the getting the message. So you can put faces to the voices.
The music video I liked more than the song as well, because besides all the indulgent every musician looks at the camera, they would cut to these information about people who died, and they would cut to police shooting people, and they would cut to Martin Luther King Jr. It was a really effective, well edited thing with a lot of rich people in it. So again, everything surrounding the song is awesome to me. Lee, what do you think?
No, I have to agree with you, Austin. As a song, it's kind of meh. Because especially, this came out, I just had it. It came out in 85 sometime, and do they know it's Christmas came out in 84, and We Are the World came out in March of 85. And I feel like both of those are stronger songs, as a song. They're more enjoyable, they're poppier, they're easier to listen to, and they still have really, powerful messages. Whereas this one has a super duper powerful message, but is kind of crappy to listen to.
I really enjoyed it. I'm going to listen to this song all the time.
And that's awesome. It clearly had a huge impact. It was an effective song and an effective vehicle of the song as well.
I really liked it.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's a crappy song.
Yeah.
It's not.
I think
it's not fantastic, but...
You want to say some more about...
I really did... I guess that we're getting down to a matter of taste, but I found it really catchy and really... I wouldn't call it inventive, but it's got... But because they use so many different artists, like I said, they do some interesting things with their themes, and it's great. I really like it. But I think at this point we're just down to a matter of taste.
I think it's time for hinges then.
Yes.
Pedro.
I like the taste. So 4.6.
3.
4.6.
3.6.
3.
All right, that is Sun City by Artists United Against Apartheid. Did I get that right?
Yes. Or by all the people that I said.
Can you read that again for us?
No,
please don't.
Fine. Let's just focus on one person individually. And Adam, who is that?
I am Susannah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
We're so good at transitions. The children's book this week is called I Am Susannah, written by...
Libby Gleason.
So, what is this book this week?
This is a novel. It's about 128 pages. I would say it's for 10-year-olds, 10 to 12-year-olds.
Yeah, absolutely.
First chapter book type situation.
Maybe a little bit beyond that. It has a...
Yeah.
Yeah, a little, not too much beyond that. But
Right. Third.
Yeah, third grade.
Book.
Yeah, there we go.
So it is about a girl named Susannah whose best friend has moved away from her, and so she's kind of dealing with that emotional tribulation, and Susannah spends a lot of time with her mom and investigates this woman who moved into her friend's house, who people have accused of being a witch and a crazy person and a spurned lover of this dude, right?
Sure.
Yeah, because there were a couple women who were spurned lovers. That was kind of a overarching theme. So this girl is also having to deal with her new friends that she's kind of been thrust into. It's like those people that she loses her best friend Kim. And so then they had some tertiary friends who are trying to become Susannah's best friends now, more I suppose. And so she's kind of struggling with whether or not to be in that group or not. So it's a pretty slow read. Well, it's not. I mean, it doesn't take a long time, but it's you have to kind of sit in it and relax into it.
To me, it was such an effective book because the stakes are incredibly low. In fact, there's no actual real external conflict. It's all internal. And what Susannah is going through is something that happens to everybody. It's a universal thing to have, a loss. And her friend didn't die, just moved away, but it feels so much like grieving in many ways because the author does an incredible job of putting you in the mindset of this girl and the feelings of loneliness and abandonment and just the unsure of what your future looks like. From outside eyes, that maybe looks dumb for when this kid's in elementary school, but in her heart, it's very sincere. I think the book really did a great job with that, especially when the letters. She's just waiting desperately for any sort of letter back from her friend, and when she finally does near the end of the book, it's so unsatisfying in a way that you kind of realize that it never was going to be satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of even that feeling of someone is moving on better than you are and making you doubt your relationships about it. It's a really good book. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the author doesn't give you... She gives you the small vignettes of Susannah and Kim together, but the opening chapter is Kim is leaving. So that's about it, and then there are 12 more chapters. So that really helps with kind of the confusion about, was Kim actually a really good friend, or was it just a proximity thing?
It's so smart.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think it was so cool that Kim was not a character in the book.
Mm-hmm.
They could have had ongoing flashbacks, but they chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
Really smart, because it's so in the moment. I mean, the whole book takes place, in a couple days? It feels like?
Yeah, maybe a week.
Maybe
tops.
a week. And, I thought the kind of relationship with the older woman was a bit forced. It was still an interesting thing to kind of recognizing time passing in a unique way. To have someone new in the house that you knew before. And to kind of go through the room and go that used to be there, that used to be there. That's a very kind of great visual thing. But, yeah, this is a good book.
It was a little on the nose.
It was very on the nose.
That end part, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was necessary. It felt like a cliche. The older person, you've done that a couple times recently.
Right.
And, I liked it more because of Winn-Dixie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was interesting, though, that the parallel made was between, the older women were relating to Susannah through lovers when Susannah is going through a friendship breakup. And it's interesting that there was never a clearly defined line, this is a lover, this is a friend, these are people that are in your life and then they're not in your life, and how to deal with that. So I thought that was interesting. And the other interesting thing is that I feel like the book focused mostly on Susannah's relationship with her mother and the blue lady who's the witch. Older women.
I thought the mom stuff was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the blue lady, bit mixed, but the mom, but she was she was an understanding woman, but to a point, because you can't have a perfect surrogate for this feeling you're having.
Yeah.
Thought that was good, and it ends strongly. It's a really quick book.
Mm-hmm.
I read it on maybe 1 bus trip, 2 bus trips.
Yeah.
I have a long commute, so it's a decent bus trip.
Right.
But yeah, I like this one. This is another nice surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to hinge it?
Yeah. I'm not crazy about it, but it is a solid book.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 3.9.
I'll give it a 4.3. So that is I Am Susannah, written by Libby Gleason.
Australian. If you're into that.
And she has another book out, which is called I Am Gregory. I don't think they're related. It's just an annoying thing that happened. Our library had one of them. Not this one, though. Wah, wah. So, future giveaway. This is a good book.
Yeah.
And now it's time for the television show, which is Arrested Development.
Now the story of a wealthy family who lost everything, and the one son who had no choice but to keep them all together. It's Arrested Development.
As you just heard, this is the story of the Bluth family. And I was just thinking right before we got into this, we've had TV segments where a ton of us have watched the show and had nice long segments about it. But is this the first TV segment where all of us have watched every episode?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think so.
I have, yeah.
I was with you.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
no, I think, yeah, this is it. Like,
That's really funny. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's actually really awesome.
Now, are we including the Netflix?
Yes.
I think we have to.
Yeah, it is, because it is season 4.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, because I do think that, and the X-Files has this as well, when you think about rebooting a show when that much time has passed, it does definitely have a different feel to it. But this was definitely intended to be a season 4, so I'm willing to agree.
We'll come to that one in a little bit. I guess first let's just say this was created in 2003 by Mitchell Hurwitz. It stars Jason Bateman and Jeffrey Tambor and Portia de Rossi and Jessica Walters and
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett. I was about to say Job over and over again. This is the breakthrough from Michael Cera, Leah Jacquot, Tony Hale. I forget anyone from the main cast?
David Cross.
And David Cross.
Yeah.
Who at this point was best known for Mr. Show. This is one of my all-time favorite shows because it is one of the densest comedies in a way that, like, the denseness is so silly because it is so complicated in the way it's set up, but it's always done in a very brilliant, like, sometimes complete spoof of how a sitcom should work. It can be very political and very intelligent about its politics in a way that shows are so rarely in the moment. I mean, this show was a complete reaction to the Bush era for the first 3 seasons. And
oh no, I don't want to. I didn't know if I wanted to then jump to how weird it is to rewatch the 4th season right now.
Oh yeah,
because it is. I mean, yeah, the first 3 seasons are all about George Sr. selling houses to Saddam Hussein in Iraq. But the 4th season was made, what now, 2 or 3 years ago?
2014.
So, before Donald Trump, while Donald Trump had been a presidential candidate, but certainly well before he was a serious presidential candidate, the entire 4th season political joke is about building a wall between the U.S. and Mexico. All of those jokes, by the way, way funnier now, even than they were at the time. I thought that they would make me cringe. They don't. It's great.
And the show, I mean, it's a brilliant character study of extreme rich narcissists who have no idea how to be actual people and fail all the time of having a decent connection with each other or humanity.
Yeah, you know what this show never is? It's never one of those comedies that at the end goes, now I have a lot of feelings about that. Like, that never happens in Arrested Development, and it is the best show ever for that.
And the show knows that because sometimes it ends with the characters thinking it was.
Right.
Job pretends to cry or thinks he's crying in a lot of ending of episodes. Job is the older brother of the Jason Bateman character, Michael, who is a pretty much failed magician. Illusionist.
Yes.
He doesn't do tricks. Tricks are what a whore does for money.
Or candy.
Well, they do have some of those emotional moments that you're talking about, but I think it only happens between Michael and George Michael.
Yes, occasionally you get a good George Michael moment. That's true. Although mostly their good moments are ruined and horrible because Michael's a bad person.
He's so awful. Like, I've never caught that. Like, I've seen this show numerous times, and I was recently rewatching it for the show, for our podcast, and I was just like, wow, Michael is just, like, the worst. He's awful.
And I will defend the 4th season actually quite a bit, but unlike, let's say, the finale of Seinfeld, where the finale of Seinfeld said, by the way, these are all horrible people. Look at the clips. And everyone's like, we knew.
Yeah.
When season 4 begins, and it's many years later after the end of season 3, and Michael is at his lowest, and you go, oh, wait, Michael's a piece of shit. oh wait, this has been happening every episode.
It's true.
It really is like you look back, because since Jason Bateman plays it so brilliantly and so in a very cocky performance that where he always thinks he's better than his family, even though when you rewatch the episodes from the very beginning, he is always doing the things that he's judging his family for.
Yeah.
He is making the same shady deals that his father did that help out family in a very, illegal way many times. And he's never listens to his son when his son's having like actual emotional needs, and he's being neglectful.
Right. I mean, well, and sort of when you look in comparison, yes, they're all horrible people, but they're all horrible people in a very petty way. In a way that, like, ultimately, outside of their own bullshit that they inflict on each other, I mean, there's the political stuff that, George Sr. is involved in, these large-scale, horrible things, but even then, he's definitely, like, the shitty opportunist who's taking advantage of larger horrible things, rather than the instigator. They mostly hurt each other with their bullshit.
It's true. They aren't unlike It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or Seinfeld, where they are a plague on society. They really just kind of keep hurting themselves in a very satisfying way. A simple example is the ultimate failed marriage of Lindsay and Tobias Funke, who in this show is also brilliant for just completely mocking the actors who are in the show.
Yeah,
because they play by Portia de Rossi and David Cross. And in real life, Portia de Rossi is a lesbian who's married to Ellen DeGeneres, and David Cross is a straight man. In the show, Tobias Funke is definitely not straight. He's somewhere. And Lindsay is very straight, but no one will have sex with her. So no male will sleep with her. And Tobias is all over the place. But their marriage continues to fail because of how much they refuse to communicate with each other about anything emotional, about even the most basic truths, about weird jealousy, to the point where Tobias then thinks the best thing for him to do is to dress up like a Mrs. Doubtfire character named Mrs. Featherbottom, so he can spy on his wife, but everyone knows it's him, so they just enjoy him doing the chores around the house. These people are amazing, and this is you all need to talk more because I could just
it really the density of the jokes and the amount that these particular jokes have permeated my own language and just the way that I function. Like, I think if you've seen this show, you enter into what is now a very large cult following, where I always get an Arrested Development reference. And it's not because I've seen the show. I've seen the show a lot of times, but it's because there are so many callbacks to each joke. NPR did something when the fourth season came back, where they actually made a graphic that matched every joke made at any time, and then how many times it came back and what the elaborations on it were. And it's like an art form. Like, it's this beautifully constructed thing. So my only problem with Arrested Development is the existence of the fourth season, which I don't think is necessary. And part of the reason for that is that I think the first three seasons are this beautifully, intricately constructed meta-narrative that ends perfectly. And so I didn't need the fourth season, and I think ultimately the fourth season, because it was so far after the first three, it couldn't join that same narrative. They were stuck between a rock and a hard place, because if you just joined that same narrative, you would have been criticized for just being derivative and playing for old laughs. But because instead it does new laughs, it's only, I mean, maybe it'll get great in the fourth and fifth seasons, I hope so, but right now it feels much more like it's all new stuff, and therefore doesn't have quite as much of the magic of realizing that jokes from the pilot are then brought back, at the end of season one, and also in a random place in season two, and also in the finale. It just works. So that's my criticism of the fourth season.
Well, I'll defend this fourth season a little bit, but I want to have other people talk a little bit, because, again, we've all seen every episode of this show. Adam, Lee, Pedro, Do you guys like the show?
I did. I only saw it the one time 5 years ago as I binge watched it, and then a few episodes here and there, and then one time with the 4th season. So it's been a while. I don't know how to explain it, except for that I couldn't stop watching because it was just a train just moving forward nonstop. It never missed a beat. It went smoothly, the way it called back to everything else before, the way its consistency, its weird consistency that it has.
There are very few bad episodes.
Oh, exactly.
And there are, I would say, almost no bad episodes. There's a couple of bad plot lines, but bad episodes in the first 3 seasons?
I think there's maybe one. It was basically between the 2 arcs in season 3.
Maybe.
It became a point when Tobias' hair extensions were literally killing him.
That was great. You're wrong.
I enjoyed that.
The episode that basically... They had a great arc with Charlize Theron, Mr. F. And then they had an arc basically of, oh shit, we're being canceled.
Maybe the Home Buyers Association will get us.
HBO, no, I think it's Showtime. That didn't happen. Almost did. But, yeah, I mean...
Organization.
I mean, the density of the plots, I mean, the fact that Job, for his magic act, would have this seal, and he would feed it cats by accident. And then the seal created a taste for human flesh, and he threw it into the ocean. And then a Michael Moore impersonator told Lucille that his son should join the army, and he signed up with the army regardless of the fact that wasn't a real person, that was Jimmy Kimmel. Mm-hmm. And then, as an act of defiance to his mother, he swims in the ocean for the first time before he goes to the army. And everyone just shouts that there's a loose seal. And he goes, I know, I'm doing this for Lucille. And a loose seal bites his hand off. After Lucille prays to God that he won't join the army. And the show might actually suggest that God exists in the show.
Right, yes.
And answered her prayer for the first time.
This makes sense, right?
That took 7 episodes to sneak into all this stuff. And then in a moment,
ultimately in the service of a really bad pun that you kind of get the feeling might have been where that joke started. Mm-hmm. Hey, you know how Lucille sounds like loose seal? So where does that take us?
And his hand's gone the rest of the series.
Oh yeah,
he's a hook, and also, God answers one more of her prayers, and that Buster forgets that it's happened to him, so he keeps forgetting that he doesn't have a hand. And his hook keeps stabbing things. And you should see more and more props throughout the show have like awful holes in it, as like couches and chairs have holes in it because he keeps forgetting he has a hook for a hand, and he keeps screaming that he's a monster.
Probably my favorite running gag is the what's the name of the guy who George Sr. hires to scare the kids?
J. Walter Weatherman. Weatherman.
About why we always leave a note. J. Walter Weatherman is why we always leave a note is the best thing.
And there's so many notes then created in the show, because once they do these like kind of one-time gag characters.
Oh, Gene?
No, Gene Parmesan.
Gene Parmesan is a separate, excellent running gag.
Is that the fire starter?
This is the guy who has a missing arm.
Okay.
So they would keep staging accidents as a kid to have like an arm being ripped off.
I think the lawyers, my favorite of the lawyers, Henry
blah, blah, blah.
Winkler.
Blah, blah, blah.
I would not be the same if blah, 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 blah wasn't in my life.
Yeah.
It's really true.
There's a character's name is B-O-B space L-O-B-L-A-W.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah.
And also, I mean, like, Henry Winkler is in this as a lawyer who is ridiculous consistently.
And then also to mock his career, when he couldn't do some episodes, they introduced Bob Blah Blah as Scott Baio, who then replaced him. Just like it happened on Happy Days.
Right, that's the other thing, is the meta humor on this show is so good.
They make fun of Portia de Rossi's eating condition. They have a plot line where Jason Bateman is finding someone who's a prostitute who's played by his real-life sister, Justine Bateman, and the suspense is that they almost might sleep together. There's a lot of incest jokes in this show.
There are a lot of incest jokes.
The entire fourth season.
One could almost call incest a theme of the show.
Oh, it's a major theme.
I just watched the Afternoon Delight episode.
Oh, God.
This is when Michael has a karaoke. It's the Christmas party, which is it's a masterpiece of an episode. But the title comes from he's doing karaoke with his niece and doesn't realize how sexual the song "Afternoon Delight" is until halfway through it. And also, I mean, the show makes fun of Ron Howard plays the narrator. He produced and helped create the show, not content-wise, but just kind of financed to help create the show. And he's a brilliant character as a narrator. And the 4th season just eviscerates his career.
It's really true.
One of my favorite jokes, because he then is in it as himself, and they said that it's him as a narrator mocking himself, saying, Ron Howard is always inspired by one image that made all his films, like the night sky for Apollo 13. It's like a chalkboard full of equations for a beautiful mind. And then the picture, it said, you see it is the Mona Lisa as the Da Vinci Code. Then it zooms out and just says, the movie studio picked up Da Vinci Code for lots of money. And that was the image that he had to do the Da Vinci Code, was lots of money. And also, you then get to go to his second studio where he has all of his Spanish productions. So you see all the Spanish posters of his movies, which are definitely fake because the movie Splash just says agua. And at that point, they made a fake Angels and Demons sequel in the show. And the Spanish poster was Angels and Diablos, mas, mas, mas.
I would also say that Mexico is a theme of the show in a deeply strange way.
Cinco de Cuatro.
Cinco de Cuatro being the 4th season, but also like they keep going to Mexico in the first 3 seasons, mostly by accident, and then getting run out of town.
I mean, Oscar escapes to... Oh, sorry, George Sr. escapes to Mexico, and they have the bounty hunter ICE to go get him, and because the secretary is incompetent, they need the big piece of paper to help identify him. It's on blueprint paper.
It's so great.
And it's identified as Tobias, who joins the Blue Man Group. Everything is so intricate and so brilliant. God, I mean, I'm just saying best ofs right now because, I mean, Jeffrey Tambor is now an actor who's had 3 brilliant roles in his life with this, Larry Sanders Show, and Transparent. This is probably my favorite because as George Sr. and his identical twin Oscar, who's the exact same except for a luscious head of hair.
And sad music playing over every time that Buster enters the picture because the obvious implication is that Buster is not George Sr.'s son.
It is so obviously Oscar's kid.
And I love Lucille's reaction every time Oscar says something like that. She always like rolls her eyes and slumps her shoulders like, Jesus Christ, can you be more... Like, she knows how obvious he's being, I think.
I mean,
it's great.
Lucille is one of the worst mothers of all time.
Yes.
She adopts a Korean boy just to spite her other children.
Anyang!
Named Anyang.
No, he's not named Anyang. Anyang is how you say hello in Korean.
But none of them know that.
But none of them know that.
So they say Anyang back to
season,
him.
Don't we? We find out what his real name is?
I think in the
third season.
You know, he's spying on them through the
Yes.
walls.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, I mean, Lee, talk about the show.
Okay, thanks.
I do love this show. Like, I didn't watch it for the first time until after it had been done and over for a while. So, because all of my friends were like, oh, you should watch it. I was like, okay, fine. So I did. And, like, going back and watching it, I think is better than watching it for the first time because you do pick up on all those little jokes. Because, like, the Lucille joke, which, like, comes to fruition in the middle of the second season, is first hinted at in the first season. And it is beautiful. Like, if you go back and watch it, go, oh, okay, now I get it. And, like, where you were talking, I think comparing the show to Always Sunny is, like, the perfect comparison because I hate watching Always Sunny. I've seen, like, 6 seasons, and I hate watching every episode, and every episode makes me uncomfortable, and I just have no sympathy for any of the characters. And I feel the same way about Arrested Development, but I want to see them fuck up more.
Yep.
I kind of love the Blues. And maybe it's because they're just too dumb to hate.
Yeah.
They're so dumb.
I mean...
And they are ultimately pretty innocuous. I mean, if we're going to get really deep into the show, and we don't even have to get that deep about it, you know, it's a show about class. They are stupid rich people doing stupid rich people things that ultimately, it's not that they're harmless, it's that they're no more harmful than your average horrible rich people, and they're way funnier. Which is, I don't know, it works. The show is, actually I think does some really interesting sort of subtle things about class. I mean, the show is about a rich family who doesn't have any more money. And Michael is apparently the one coming back trying to tell them to, like, all get jobs and, you know, have to pay for things and face the consequences of their actions, which none of them basically ever do in the end. I mean, I guess in the end, Lucille goes to prison between the third and fourth seasons. But even then, the prison is LITE correctional facility, where she is part of basically the Real Housewives of the federal prison system. And I mean, they are so relentlessly irredeemable at every level.
And I think also a joy of the show, this doesn't really work as well with the fourth season, but when they have their cameos, they're some of the best roles these people have ever had. I mean,
it's so true.
Martin Mull as Gene Parmesan, this horrible private eye who keeps dressing up disguise.
I was about to scream really loudly, but then I decided it would be difficult for you to edit.
Yes. Carl Weathers, who plays himself, who has an acting school, but his main focus is always on food.
So I'm making the stew.
Make a stew.
Yeah.
Stew.
Ooh, you can make a good stew out of that. Oh my god.
Ed Begley Jr.
Ed Begley Jr., who has alopecia.
Yeah.
And all of his hair is fake. And the Blues hate him for that. That bald man. He has his angry eyebrows.
Yep.
Mae Whitman as Anne Veal, who is my favorite side character.
So good.
Her?
Yeah, as someone that is George Michael's...
I forgot about her.
Girlfriend.
Did you actually?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Wait, that's great.
Yeah.
Who is hated by most people, mostly Michael, because he doesn't want his son to go away from him. But she's so forgettable that you see her yearbook photo, and under it says "not pictured." They keep saying "Anne" and ham, egg,
egg,
yeah. Which is also delightful and another weird joke because before this show, I saw this show. I don't know if it's even been able to be found anymore. There was this Fox family show called State of Grace.
You're like the only person who knows about this show. You two are the only people who know about this show.
Yeah.
I saw it.
And that's where he was introduced to Maybe.
Yeah,
the actress who played Maybe.
And Anne, because Anne is this, it's set in the 60s, and Anne is kind of this Ferris Bueller, like, live life to its fullest. And the Aaliyah Shawkat basically plays the Cameron, I guess, of like, I don't know about this, and then like they learn to live life and grow up and such. But they play the opposite characters in Arrested Development,
That's
where
lovely.
Aaliyah Shawkat is the completely, bold, crazy schemer, and Mae Whitman has essentially no personality. Man, we can go on forever for this. I do think the fourth season is flawed, but damn it if I still don't laugh a ton of episode. And I think that, especially in an age right now where we have so many different revivals, I think this is one of the best ones because it chose to treat it as a sequel. Mm-hmm. They even kind of hysterically refuse to do old jokes from it. Like, you're about to see George Michael's chicken dance before he's interrupted.
Yeah.
And at one point, Maeve's at the bar, and, are you old enough? She goes, no, actually marry me. Then goes back to it. Like, she says her catchphrase just because she realized she had to, and then stopped caring again.
They did do a really great callback to the Dead Dove. That's a beautiful one.
But the fact that the sequel, like, it moved all the characters forward in a very believable way, and often a really, really dark way.
It's
because
dark.
Michael is rock bottom in a very gross way. I can't remember how people end up at the end of the season on the sexual predator list.
Many
of them do. Job loses a month of his life because he's in a roofie loop.
Many months. It's a season.
Yeah.
And he's stuck in a... And he's... Yeah, no.
Because he takes...
Forget-me-not loop.
He has roofies because whenever his tricks fail, he calls them, like, forget-me-nots. The people don't know he messed up the trick, which is still horrible, but he does something he regrets that day and then takes a roofie himself. And then just buys more roofies, and then does it over and over again.
He forgets to take away the evidence that reminds him.
That's right.
Every day he wakes up, he sees the evidence again.
It is
he tries to forget it.
It's the most depressing Groundhog Day, and like, again, the season's super flawed because they couldn't get all the actors back at the same time. So it's actually a horribly elaborate contrived season where it's all happening at the same time, and basically it's the
That's
most impossible scheduling thing.
Well, and that's really, I mean,
with terrible green screen.
Ultimately, that's the problem with the fourth season. Is the beauty of the first 3 seasons is all of the plot lines run at the same time. It's madcap. I don't think there are any episodes where everybody doesn't appear. I think they're all...
There's the one scene in the house that they kind of keep going back to.
Right, but in general, everybody's in every episode, and it's... I didn't realize until you get to the fourth season how central that is to the show's DNA.
Mm-hmm.
I find it really noticeable and really distracting. The whole, like, this is so-and-so's Arrested Development where it focuses on individual characters. It's just not the feel of the show, and I think, although I understand they all got super famous and it was necessary... Ultimately, it's a lesser artistic product.
If they didn't name it, maybe I would have not noticed it.
It's true. I actually think if they hadn't called it out, I might not have noticed.
Because that threw me off a lot.
The rumored 5th season, which they basically when this came back, they wanted to make a movie, and then they said season 4 will basically be the prologue to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now they go, wait, we can have more hours if we do a TV show again.
Right.
So the rumor is that season 5, maybe season 6 will be acts 2 and 3 of this so-called movie idea they have. Season 4 does end on a cliffhanger of someone has murdered a major side character, probably accidentally. And I want to see where it goes. And the rumor is that for season 5, they actually are going to try to figure out the impossible and to get as many cast members as humanly possible.
Together.
They're not going to do season 4 again the same way.
That's good.
Because they know the characters so well. I mean, when you watch these characters do this again, and they're so smart to advance the characters. I love the show. Adam, do you have some more to say? I always feel like we cut you off.
No. I really, really like it, except for the 4th season was disappointing, but it's still pretty good. So that's my assessment.
I think it's time for Henges. If you haven't seen the show, this might have been incomprehensible for you for the past 20 minutes. I started to try and then realized, no, you just gotta watch Arrested Development. I was going to try to give this some more assessment rating of there are some plot ups in season 4, and then I realized I don't care.
But exactly.
This is a 5. This is a 5 for me. It's my all time favorite shows, and 5.
The first 3 seasons would have been a 5. The 4th season is a 3. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 3 is 18. Divided by 4 is... Math.
20 divided by 4 is...
Well, 16 divided by 4
5,
so 4.5.
so-
4.5.
Well,
Is that right?
4.6.
No, 4.5.
18?
4.
18 20ths?
18.
We have calculators, you guys.
I thought she was using a calculator.
No, I was using my brain.
It's 4.5.
That's what I thought.
Oh, never mind. Alright. I'm bad at that.
4.5.
Okay. Everyone else?
Am I allowed to review this? I haven't, seen anything recently.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
Yes.
You're supposed to watch it again, but...
4.95.
Well, I saw a season and a half this week, so...
Me too.
Great. So I'm going to say 4.6.
Damn.
I'll go 4.5.
That's an Adam 7, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. What, Lee?
4.5 for me.
Alright, that is Arrested Development. At this moment, the entire series is on Netflix. It's great. I mean, it's great.
Is it the first time we've all rated a show higher than 4?
Probably.
I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that you can find out on the artimmortal.com. If you click the links at the top of the Immortals page, it has links to some stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can see all of our ratings for every single thing. And also our average ratings, where you can see the ranked shit. You can see what are our top 10 shows, what are our bottom 10 shows, what are all sorts of things. You can look at what stuff we did in episode 12. You can look at all sorts of things.
That's for the best.
Sounds more painful than intern.
Yes, I do that on purpose.
Jeez, that's rough, man.
I think he likes his job. Even though he actually listens to us.
Hate my job.
Alright, so he's the same as intern.
I keep trying to inform Bethany how pointless it is for you to be all doing this and for me to spend such time as she requires me to do. Although I know that she has a wonderful, amazing plan for us upstairs. But I still don't understand it. She will not explain it to me. And she's having me do more work than I would like to be doing with you.
If you can have her break the curse, that would actually be really convenient
that's easy for us.
Tell us more about your
I'm
problems.
sure you would all love that.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
The, that's the exact purpose of the show.
Well, I would love that as well. I would like to be spending my time doing other things.
Are we teaming up against Bethany right now?
Yeah.
No, we are
Guys,
not.
just let him speak. He's got a lot on his mind.
She's a benevolent leader, and I love her.
That is not true. She killed lots of people.
Not a good guy.
I think the sky turned with blood.
Maybe she prefers people upstairs.
Don't put your hand in front of the microphone to whisper.
Maybe she prefers people upstairs.
Okay.
No, I guarantee that's true. She made me do a spreadsheet.
I love spreadsheets.
I also like
Yes,
spreadsheets.
that is why humans are ridiculous. So now I have to give you significant numbers rather than the numbers I have been doing before, which was much easier.
Wait, what?
What's the
I
number?
must go. The number is 801. Fuck you.
And why is it significant, though?
Well, that will never know. 801, huh?
Well, let's look at it.
Adam?
He knows not to repeat any of these numbers,
I'm
right?
fine.
We haven't had 801.
Okay.
I guess not, yeah.
I mean, it'd be tough to repeat at this point. We're 54
Next day's
episodes
late,
in.
right? We'll get something interesting.
Oh, the movie is... Oh, this is fun. This is the fourth movie I have not seen so far on the show. This is Drugstore Cowboy.
Cool.
The album is Liquid Swords by Genius and Giza.
Which, according to Joe Biden memes, is his
The
favorite...
best album, the best Wu-Tang album.
his favorite Wu-Tang album.
Amazing. The food is pecans.
Doll pants.
Doll parts.
Doll parts.
Red doll pan. I don't know which is worse.
By Hole. That's the song.
I like that you didn't announce your segment first. It really made it good.
Okay, the television show is Children's Hospital.
The goddamn children's book is The Fellowship of the Ring.
Yay!
By Mr. J.R.R. Tolkien.
The very same.
No, that
Isn't
other
it
The
Doctor?
Fellowship of the Ring.
Adam, it has been so long since
Yes.
that segment hasn't been super obscure and no one knows what the hell we're talking about. Aren't you excited?
It's just so long, and I have to read it in a week.
Yeah.
So good though.
Is it though?
Yes.
Spoiler.
Jerks.
I mean, kind of.
Is it
Oh
though?
my
not
god,
bad.
this is gonna be the
Let's
worst.
just do it right now.
No,
What do you guys
no.
think of-
This is a tease for next week. So let's quickly get through the end of the stuff. Thank you all for listening. You can leave a comment about this episode. Let us know what you think of the Muppets and Arrested Development. Who are your favorite characters? You can go to the...
Which Muppets would play which characters on Arrested Development?
Oh, God.
You know that's a good question. I had
I mean,
to interrupt you.
Kermit's Michael.
No,
Yeah.
Kermit is George Michael.
No, Kermit's Michael.
No,
Kermit's
because
Michael.
Kermit is no. Well, that's probably true.
Or
And
Fellowship
nope.
of the Ring, even. Now I'm getting all over.
I know,
this.
right? This is important.
This is what you all should leave at theartandmortal.com. If you're shy, you can email us at theimmortals@theartandmortal.com. You can follow us on Twitter at theimmortalspod. We'll let you know how many people that we've reviewed have died recently. Like
Oh my god, so many.
Florence Henderson, who we reviewed The Brady Bunch, episode 51. And Ron Glass, we reviewed Barney Miller on episode something. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't have it pulled up.
And also, I mean, Fidel Castro. Everybody.
Review Fidel Castro?
You can also go to the YouTube and you can see some old episodes and whatnot of the show and the other shows on the network, like Let's Take 5, the podcast where Eric Martindale and myself pick a cinema great and watch 5 of their films to recognize their brilliance and range. This week will be our second edition of our Jimmy Stewart 5, and the one that comes out tomorrow is It's a Wonderful Life, which is perfect for our first episode of December right now. And, yeah. And maybe next week we'll tease something else.
Oh no, we're gonna tease it now.
Let's do it. All right. We have
Okay,
the third podcast coming.
The third podcast is coming to theartofmoral.com. It is my podcast, which is called Ad Absurdum. In this podcast, so I'm a lawyer. Me and my lawyer friends get together, take your favorite movies, and tell you what terrible things would need to happen to the law to make them possible. Our very first review, Minority Report. That amazing dystopian parody of Fourth Amendment law with Tom Cruise from 2000. Listen to us It'll probably be up sometime within the first 2 weeks of December, and I intend for it to be a great time for everybody.
Yeah, I've heard part of it. It's actually a super educational look at the law and also a really funny look at fiction. So I'm very excited about this podcast, and you should too.
It's going to be great, guys.
Check it out on iTunes and theartandworld.com. And that's it. That's what we got going on. Thank you all for listening. My name is Austin.
I'm Adam.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Lee.
I'm Pedro.
Catch y'all next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Excuse me. Are you the Bluths?
Dr. Wordsmith, how's my son?
He's going to be all right.
Oh,
thank God.
Finally, some good news
There's
from
no
this
other way
guy.
to take that.
That's a great attitude. I gotta tell you, if I was getting this news, I don't know that I'd take it this well.
But you said he was all right.
Yes, he's lost his left hand, so he's going to be all right.
You son of a bitch! I hate this doctor!
He's a very literal man. Yes. That's more the way I would take the news.